Shalom. We're going to talk today about a common situation. You sit down for Seder and you discover you're sitting with people who aren't interested in reading the whole Hagadah from the first page to the last page. Obviously, if you can, the ideal situation is to read the whole Hagadah from the very first words to the very last words. However, many families find this very difficult. Many times, a person finds themselves at a Seder with people who want to skip over. That's why it's called Pesach, Passover, because they want to pass over all the long, boring bits in the Haggadah. But seriously, how much of the Haggadah do we need to say? I'd like to present to you in the minutes that follow a shortest Seder ever. What's the minimalistic Seder that a person can get by with? Well, you obviously have to say Kiddush and drink the first cup, as well as drinking all the other cups. So first thing is Kiddush on a cup of wine, and everyone has to drink with a cup of wine. Number 2, washing our hands. Kadesh Uchatz. The next thing is we have to wash our hands without a blessing. In most families, everybody washes. But if in your family only the head of the household washes, then they have on who to rely. There is a source for such a custom. Next, karpas. We must take some parsley. In some families they use potatoes. We dip it in salt water. Some families dip in vinegar. And we say the blessing Borei Pri Adama, and we eat. Everyone needs that. Then we need to do yachatz. We have to take the middle of the 3 matzahs, break it in half, and hide half away for the afikomen. Then we come to Magid, the telling of the story. Here's where we can start skipping. We have to have manish tana. That is, someone has to ask the 4 questions. And then someone has to say, Avadim hayinu. We were slaves in the land of Egypt. After that, though, a person can jump in the book. They can skip over the pages. They should say the 10 plagues. And then they can even skip again to the part of the Seder where it says in the Hagadah that Rabbi Gamliel said, anyone who does not say these 3 things, Pesach, Matzah, or Maror, has not fulfilled his obligation. Then there are 3 paragraphs where Rabbi Gamliel tells us why we had the Passover sacrifice, why we had Matzah, and why we had Maror. That section must be read and must be explained to everyone. Everyone must understand why we have Passover sacrifice, why we have Matzah, and why we have Maror. Then a person can go to the beginning of Hallel before the meal. We fill up a 2nd cup and we say blessing and 2 paragraphs of Hallel before the meal. B'tzeit Yisrael, Hallelujah and B'tzeit Yisrael. And then we drink the 2nd cup. That has been with a lot of skipping over. That is, in Magid, a person could skip. And as long as they asked the questions, Avadim Hayinu, as long as they said, Avadim Hayinu, Manish Tana, Avadim Hayinu, the 10 plagues, it's very good to say. If they said, explained Passover, Matzah, and Maror, and they read the first part of Hallel just before the 2nd cup and drank the 2nd cup, then we have to wash, like for a meal, with a blessing. That everyone has to do. Everyone has to, then we have to say the bracha on matzah and eat the matzah. Then everyone has to eat the maror. Don't forget to dip it in the charoset. Then everyone has to have korech, the sandwich that Hillel made. A piece of matzah, again maror, with the charoset, and eat that. Then is the Shulchan Aruch, dinner. From the letter of the law, you don't actually have to eat dinner now. But most families, even if they wanted to jump around over other things in the Seder, probably don't want to miss out dinner. Our custom is to start with a boiled egg. But you don't have to, and that's only a custom. After dinner, before saying grace after meals, you have to do tzafun, that is to eat the afikomen. I hope no one's taken it. And if someone's taken it, I hope you've got a prize to give them to get it back. If you can't find the afikomen, you can take any piece of matzah. And usually our afikomen is very small anyway, and there's not enough of it to give to everyone. So you take another piece of matzah, you lean to your left, and you eat another measure of matzah for afikomen. Then we have to do grace after meals, birkat hamazon. Everyone needs to drink the third cup. After the third cup, our custom is to fill up another cup for Elijah the prophet, to open the door of the house, and to say, pour out thy wrath, shvocha matcha. From the letter of the law, you don't have to do that. But it'll only take another minute or two when it's quite an acceptable custom, and normal Jewish families do that even if they skipped over other parts of the meal. Then comes the hard bit. Now a person has to say the rest of Hallel. That's quite long, and there isn't a source to skip that over. Even in a shortened Seder, a person needs to say the whole Hallel. The way to do that is to get someone who speaks very good Hebrew to read it and sing it nicely for everyone. They can all listen and fulfill their obligation by listening to the one person saying it. If you like, you can say it in English, as you can say all the Seder in English. Then you have to drink the fourth cup and say the after blessing on the fourth cup. By doing that, a person can get through the Seder without drawing it out too long, and hopefully by giving those around you who aren't used to such a long Seder an enjoyable evening, you'll desire to want to learn more for next year and increase every year a little bit more of the Seder in order that we can have a full Seder and say the whole Hagadah and be like the rabbis mentioned in Hagadah who sat and learnt about the laws of Passover and told the story of the Exodus of Egypt all night until the students knocked on the door and said, "Rabbis, the time has come to say Shema of the morning." We should all merit that a new morning arises for Am Yisrael, and we'll hear the prophets knocking on the doors and telling us, "Come, the sun is shining, it's time to say the morning Shema." Hag Sameach.